Metamorphosis. A rush of pity swept over me when I saw her. Her small, pale face, streaked with dirt, was framed by a mass of matted hair. There she crouched, on the garbage heap, staring wide-eyed at Tipu, who was barking furiously at her. I drew closer. Encouraged, Tipu lunged at the child. He tugged angrily at her tattered dress. The girl shrieked.
"Down, Tipu!"
I cried, running towards her. She held an old, broken toy in one hand. I recognized it at once, for it belonged to Baby, my little sister. No wonder the dog was barking. How was he to know that Baby, who grew tired of toys as fast as she got them, had discarded this doll? "You want it?" I asked the girl. She only clutched the doujel closer to her. I gently drew the toy away from her reluctant fingers. Then I handed it back to her with a flourish. "Look, Tipu. She didn't steal it. I've given her the toy." Satisfied, Tipu dashed off in search of fresher pastures. The look in those eyes did something to me, for I found myself asking gently, "Do you want more toys?" I remembered all the junk that littered Baby's room. The girl nodded. "Look, that's my house. Come over this evening." "All right." The girl tucked the doll carefully in tight folds of her rags. Then she bent down and started scrounging around in the waste heap. The picture haunted me the whole day at school. What, I wondered, was that child doing in that dirty, stinking heap? "A penny for your thoughts, Sunila." Nina, my friend, broke the silence. "Poor girl. Wish I could help her." "Which girl?" asked Nina, puzzled. I told her about the kid. "I'll give here more toys, Nina, and Baby's old frocks. Maybe White could teach her too. Let's do something for her, Nima." She looked so bad. Comma. "Oh, come on, Sunila," interrupted Mina, laughing. "What can we do? That's hay life. Imsra, she's quite happy." "No," I said stubbornly. "She doesn't even go to school, I'm sure. Let's try to do something to make her happy." "Oh, you and your bright ideas." Nina's scorn did not dampen my zeal. Armed with an old dress and a toy, I waited for the little girl to turn up. She did. I ran my eyes over her. "I'll begin by making her a clean dress," I thought. After that, maybe I could persuade her to comb her hair. Then I would try to teach her Sunila. "Who's that?" an imperious voice asked. My grandmother was standing in the veranda. The girl trembled before her august presence. My grandmother is tall, and with her bright silver hair, looks rather impressive. The girl must have been scared, for she turned to flee. I caught her hand. "Sunila, don't you touch that girl," shrieked grandmother. "Why not, Dottie? She's the sweeper's daughter. You must not touch her," said grandmother, as she glanced suspiciously at me. "What do you want to do with her anyway?" "I want to teach her," I answered. Ram, what's wrong with you, girl? Didn't I tell you she's the sweeper's daughter? An untouchable. Grandmother and her old-fashioned ideas. "Oh, come on, Dottie," I ventured. "How does that matter? We've been taught in school that we're all equal." But grandmother was not listening. She had turned to the girl. "Be off with you, child." Her words made me indignant. I looked at the frightened girl. "Wait, what's your name?" Kaushlia, answered a meek, soft voice. "Will you come again tomorrow, Kaushlia?" I asked her gently. And take this. It's for you. I gave grandmother a defiant look. Kushlia snatched the frock and fled. The next evening, grandmother stationed herself strategically in the front veranda. I knew she was waiting to pounce on Kushlia, but I could be clever too. I heard the click of the gate and rushed out. I met Kushlia before she entered the lion's den. There was another, older girl with Kushlia. Bunya, my sister, she explained. I learnt more about the two sisters. They did not go to school. Instead, they worked. Bunya looked after the younger kids and kept house while their mother went out to clean the streets and houses. Kushlia's job was to search garbage dumps for trash and paper scraps, which their mother sold for a few pays. She also picked up cow dung from the streets. This was dried into flat cakes by Bunya and sold, or used as fuel. The children's father was too lazy to do anything except eat, sleep, drink, and beat up the family. What a miserable life, I thought. More than ever, I wished I could give them just a bit of happiness. Surely I was not wrong in trying to help? But grandmother did not think so. Sunila, go and bathe at once, she ordered when I entered the house. And stop mixing with those dirty kids. I'll make them clean, Dottie, I promised. Humph, they'll remain what they are. You cannot change them. And what are they, pray? I retorted rudely. I was seething with anger. Aren't they human beings like us? With that, I ran into my room and slammed the door. Fortunately, Mummy was more understanding. She was generous with old clothes, eats, and words of advice. Nina joined me too. We began giving lessons to the two untouchable girls. I had helped Baby with her homework quite often, and the experience came in handy. But we did not dare take the sisters into the house. Grandmother would have thrown a fit. Instead, we confined our meetings to the garden and bathed afterwards. One day, even this arrangement failed. Grandmother, freshly bathed, came into the garden to gather flowers for her puja. On her way back, horror of horrors, she bumped into Kushlia. It was enough to spark off fireworks. Hi, the girls touched me. I'm soiled. Chai. Baku, will you come here? Did you see what happened? Mummy came running out of the kitchen. Grandmother stormed at her. Mummy was silent. Finally, grandmother gave an ultimatum. Either you get rid of those filthy kids, Baku, or I'll leave this house. With that, grandmother walked off. Kushlia's small face grew smaller, while her eyes, round and large, looked hurt and ashamed. Bunya, her sister, hastened to put an arm around her. She looked appealingly at Mummy, waiting for the verdict. Mummy set her lips into a firm line. Sunila, the kids will have to go, she said. We could not believe it. Mummy was taking grandmother's side. Surely you don't mean it, Mummy? I cried. They were doing so well. Learning so fast, I stopped. There was no need to argue further. The two girls had fled. They did not come back. Grandmother liked to go for a walk every morning. That Sunday, Nina and I were hanging at the gate, chatting, when grandmother came out, resplendent in crisp white, her silver hair gleaming, and an elegant walking stick in her hand. Would you like to take a walk with me, Sunila? I ignored the peace offer. One had not forgiven her for driving the children away. A spoil sport, I commented sourly as grandmother's back receded into the distance. Don't be rude, protested Nina. Why not? She's a hypocrite. All that puja and prayer she does. How can she be unkind to poor little kids, if that's her religion? My indignant speech was interrupted by loud shrieks. We rushed out to see. "Give me that coin," screamed a man. "I won't. It's mine. I earned it." We could hear a young girl shouting back. We ran on, for the voice was familiar. We found grandmother standing on the road, staring at a strange scene. A little girl raced down the street, pursued closely by a thin, dark man. I recognized Kaushlia. Fists clenched, eyes desperate, Kaushlia sped past grandmother, the man at her heels. The next moment he had caught Kaushlia. "Bacheo! Bacheo!" she screamed. "So you won't give the money?" leered the man, trying to prise open her fist. Kaushlia fought like a cat. "No, no. Ma told me to keep it for buying rice." The man used all his brute strength to wrench the money from the small fist. "Babuji, leave her," we heard, as Bunya came running to her sister's help. "You'll use the money for drinking. You know we need it for rice." This only angered the man. He glared at Bunya and shook Kaushlia hard. Still she refused to part with the precious coin. Enraged, the man slapped her. Bunya tried to pull her sister away. Her father raised his hand. Slap, slap, slap. The piercing sharp sounds made my head whirl with rage. Kaushlia reeled, staggered a few steps, and collapsed, right near grandmother's feet. The old lady stepped back hastily. The coin fell with a tinkle on the hard pavement. With a cry of triumph, the man pounced on it. "I've got it. At last." I could watch no longer. "Catch that man!" I shouted and rushed forward. I had only one thought in my mind. That money must be restored to Kaushlia. But the coward had fled. Nina and I raced after him, watched by a dazed Bunya. I was conscious of grandmother's shocked eyes as I ran past her. A crowd watched us, but I did not care. We must catch him, we must. We drew close to him. I stretched out my arm and caught the man's shirt. He turned, dodged, and fled. Back the way he had come. He was out of our reach. Once again, desperately, we kept running after him. The man was again racing past grandmother. I saw. Grandmother thrust out her walking stick as he sped. Down he fell flat on his face. Quickly the man staggered to his feet. By then, grandmother had stepped forward. "Return the coin, I say," grandmother spoke sharply. The man couldn't move. Grandmother's stern eyes were fixed on him. He handed the coin to Bunya reluctantly and slunk off. Grandmother looked at us. She was smiling. "That was very brave of you, girls." She walked over to Kaushlia, who lay on the ground, eyes closed, eye big, ugly bruise on her cheek. Shate was unconscious. A strange, soft lock replaced grandmother's usually stern expression as St gazed at the thin, stunned figure lying at her feet. She suddenly looked up and met our sled eyes. "Come on, girls. Don't stand and stare. Let's take Thigh's child into the hoys." "What?" I cried, wondering whether I had heard right. But, you said—" "Never mind what I said," interrupted grandmother tersely. "After all, she's a human being." As grandmother stooped to lift the matted hair off Tihi's small, dirty face, Kaushlia opened her eyes.